Good afternoon. This rabbit is Penelope. She's actually a mixed breed rabbit, so you'll probably think, what heck colors are those? Especially with her beautiful Jersey brown eyes. Oh, she's so beautiful. She's a Blanc de Odo and New Zealand mix. And we're keeping her because she's a nice bunny and she's a nice quality. But we're gonna do vet check today, which a lot of, and this is good for kids who are doing showmanship, but it's also good for homeowners to be able to check over your rabbit for different diseases and things that you may not be aware of that are actually fairly easy to treat at home and not have to take to a vet. So we're gonna go ahead I am gonna go ahead and teach you that today. So the first thing we're gonna do is check the ears. You look inside the ear and you look down inside and you're looking for anything that's crusty, and especially if it was crusty and gunky, that's probably a sign of ear mites. And her ear is nice and clean. And then I look in the other ear, the same thing. And there shouldn't be like a ton of wax buildup or anything like that, which she doesn't have. But if you were to see anything crusty and scabby, it would be ear mites. And her ear looks perfect. And you see she has a tattoo. That's for arbor showing purposes. Most rabbit owners don't have this if it's a pet. And then you're looking at her eyes. So her eye, you're just looking for discharge or anything that doesn't look normal, or watery eyes. And then I can turn the bunny and you look at the other eye. So you do things in twos, and her eye looks great. There's no discharge or anything like that. And then I'm gonna take and look at her fur, and I'm gonna blow her fur from the back up. And when I blow, it gets you to the base of the fur. And you're looking for black specks or anything that kind of looks like dandruff, which is actually a sign of fur mites. And she doesn't have anything, but if you were to see specks and flaky skin, some rabbits, I've heard even like Havanas, have dry skin and will see flakes, so it doesn't mean they have fur mites. But most rabbits, if you see flaky skin or little black specks, it's fur mites, and it comes in from the hay or different things in the cages and stuff, or if they were at a show, they could come home with fur mites. And it's not terrible bad. What you can do, there's a product called ivermectin you can treat them with. Or the most safe product is called diatomaceous earth, and you get food grade diatomaceous earth, and it's this powdery substance which is actually teeny tiny powdery shards of glass, and you would make sure the rabbit's eyes are covered completely, and you take this powdery stuff and you put it all over, underneath and on the skin and everywhere, and it will kill the live mites and get rid of all the mites. And then you do it about 7 days later, and it would kill any eggs or larvae that had been growing. And then her fur would grow back and she would be free of fur mites. Except if she were to have fur mites, you do want to clean their cage completely and disinfect it. Otherwise, she's going to get reinfected with fur mites. But she's free of them, so she doesn't have that problem. And I'm going to feel her neck, because sometimes they can have abscesses, which are lumpy infections under the skin, and they'll a lot of times get them around their teeth and neck area, so you check in there for any unusual lumps and bumps in her body. They could have hernias, and you just check in their body for anything unusual. And she looks good from this part. So now I'm going to turn her over and vet check the other parts of her. So she's not used to being turned over, so I might handle her differently than I usually would. But let's turn her around so I can flip her over. So I'm going to do the best technique I've been teaching about, the gripping here without scruffing. I'm not scruffing, and I'm going to bring her in and scrunch her. And she hasn't been handled in a while, but I got her down. I got her up against my arm so she feels comfortable. And she really has not been handled, so she's kind of a wild rabbit. But because I'm handling her properly, she feels pretty comfortable. And I'm looking at her stomach, making sure I don't feel any lumps or bumps. I'm looking at her feet. Her nails do need to be trimmed, but she doesn't have anything like sore hocks. A sore hock is when their feet are not well furred and they rub against their cage and they get these sores. But her feet look great. She has no sores there. And then I'm looking at her face up here in her nose. Her nose has no discharge. If she were to have discharge, it might be something like a cold called snuffles. Oh, and she freaked out a little, which is okay. You just let her get back and relax. And you turn her over again. Okay, it's okay, Penelope. Okay. No. And so I'm looking at her, and I want to look at her teeth too. So I'm coming from above, She's not used to having this happen, so I'm just kind of, it's okay, honey. Just taking my time, and I'm gonna pull her teeth from her cheeks from here to look at her teeth, and actually her teeth look good. And she doesn't like it, and that's okay. Just let her take a break. But you notice I went from the top to pull that away, because if I came from underneath, she's gonna bite me. And she didn't like that, so I'm gonna hold her a little differently than I do with the traditional hold. Because she's so big and didn't like that, I'm gonna take my hand firmly under her chest here and just kind of do this so she feels more comfortable, so I can still look her over. Her tail looks good. She has no unusual discharge in her genital area or anything. She looks healthy there. And I already looked at her nose, so I don't need to do that. But I would never come up here and try to do that because she will bite you. You always come down from here. But she's looking good. And you can check for fur mites on the bottom too. When you blow, and she's good. So you do check for fur mites on both top and bottom. And I think that's about it for a vet check. I might have missed a little something, but that's the general care that you can do at home, and there's a lot of products to be able to treat simple things like fur mites, ear mites. Ear mites, if she had crusty ears, actually to treat it is with baby oil or mineral oil on a Q-tip, and you get in there and rub it in there, and it smothers the mites. And you do that for a number of days until they're gone. And you don't pick the scabs out of there because it'll bleed. If they're starting to peel off, you can clean them out, and then they'll start healing right up. And the fur mites, like I said, you use diatomaceous earth as a nice natural product to use, or something called ivermectin. And if they had a snotty nose, that might be a sign of snuffles. That actually is something not curable, but it is treatable, and you would want to quarantine your rabbit from all rabbits after that point. Same with discharge in the eyes. It could be conjunctivitis, which is like pink eye in a human, and that's treatable with an eye drop or an eye cream. So there's a lot of different things you can treat. And the sore hocks is another easier one to treat, which I said is if they were to have sores on the bottom of their feet, you would do like a salve or a balm and give them a resting mat for their cage to treat that. But yeah, that's how you do a vet check. Thanks, Penelope.